Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. New York subliners KiSMET has revealed one set of scrims that they played over the last couple of days to get ready for their Minnesota Rokkr series in a few days' time. He was absolutely frying. Which team was he playing though? That's the big question people have been trying to figure out. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, just wanted to mention Fantasy. It is very much open right now, obviously free to enter and all this type of stuff. This is one of the teams you could build. This is the squad that I went for, going kind of all in on subliners to have a good weekend. It may not happen, this may crash and burn. Hicksy for $4 does seem to be a pretty good value for money. I think there's a lot of teams that are using Hicksy because for a $4 pick, he's certainly maybe the best one. It depends. People have different opinions on that. But yeah, I've gone pretty hard on subliners because if they were to make it and they were to win the entire thing, I'd be looking all right. Enable's gone for a different team. He's also gone for Hicksy though, and KiSMET. But you know, so it's actually quite different to mine. But he's gone for quite a few like $8 options. So Cellium is his captain with Slasher, and then KiSMET in there as well. So I quite like what Enable's gone for as well here, absolutely. And yeah, the $4 pick in Hicksy and doing everything else seems to be working pretty well. I'll share for you guys as well in a second what Jacob Hale came up with in terms of his analysis on this over the course of the season to try and figure out the best team. Big update as well yesterday though on the Activision Blizzard, FTC, UK CMA, all the drama, right? So Microsoft want to acquire Activision Blizzard. The UK CMA, Competition and Markets Authority, said no, you're not doing that. Competition laws, stuff like this, antitrust, whatever. The FTC has said the same thing. They've now filed an injunction asking a federal court to block the acquisition. Both a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction are necessary to stop this from happening. So, man, I mean, if you guys thought this was going to be a quick deal, it's not going to be. They're going to go through all the processes. This might completely shut it down, to be honest, and it might never happen. But yeah, so apparently this is going to be an issue for them. They won't be able to close the deal by July the 18th as planned. It would have to go to a federal court. Apparently Microsoft have told CNBC they welcome this as it would force the case to be heard in front of a federal judge sooner. We welcome the opportunity to present our case in federal court. We believe accelerating the legal process in the US will ultimately bring more choice and competition to the market. Not sure about that one, but you know, the companies say what they say. So look, we'll see if this actually ever happens anymore. I know there's some mixed opinion, right, on whether people actually want Microsoft to acquire it, what it would mean for Call of Duty. I think in general, COD has been on the downhill trajectory for several years. So I think there's an understandable feeling that maybe a new ownership model would work better. Maybe Microsoft come in and say, you know what, let's not do these yearly CODs anymore. Let's make one that lasts for a few years, keep updating it. That might be better for competitive. It might be worse for competitive. They might look at the CDL as a bit of a money sink and realize it's not even worth it to even want to support COD Esports anymore. They might just throw it out the window. We don't really know what they would do. So there's pros and cons, there's risks to Microsoft taking over, but it's not going to happen anytime soon, right? They've got to get all through all this legal stuff, which they might not even get through. There was a couple of funny clips of Doug flying around over the last couple of days. I wanted to share one of them here in a second. He actually does mention and runs back all the way back in the day to, this was what, Black Ops 1, right? I think this was the national finals at the time that Doug won with Vengeance, Virus, and Mutation, and as he says, so I remember riding the bus with Revan, who's now the general manager for the Seattle Surge, formerly on the New York Subliners, and before that was a caster for the league, and I told him that my team was winning. He laughed at my face. I went back home on that same bus with a $50,000 check in my hands, and I've never felt so fulfilled looking at Revan's face. Never will forget that day. So I love some of these like OG stories, right? And someone was roasting him here for only having one championship victory, and he says that, you know, he got his first win. Look at this picture as well. Duck on the left here. This, I guess, is the squad they had. This is Vengeance, right? Because I think he was on the OpTic team that won the COD XP, right, in the Modern Warfare 3 when that first came out. So yeah, wild some of these old pictures and stories of the COD days, to be honest. And even this I thought was pretty funny, as Bo says, MLG Dallas 2013, my first pro event ever. Doug versus Bo's round one. We took the L, then won 19 straight matches and qualified for champs. You beat me with a construction vest on. Man, I wish there was pictures of this, but I don't know if there are, unfortunately. Someone's probably got them somewhere. Let's leave that one deep in the past files. Just did want to share, though, while we're on this topic, this quick clip, because there was a bit of controversy around this over the last couple of days. I know that Doug is often what Doug, like, he says these things knowing it's going to get clipped just for the impressions, right? And I respect it. But the clip is kind of too funny not to mention. He's reacting to a reaction of some people to himself, right? So, you know, the roast compilations that people have done on Doug Doug over the last couple of years. This is clearly the Doug Mega Roast compilation, and there was quite a lot of Crim, quite a lot of, you know, Forwall, even some Scump in there as well, roasting Doug a bit, and Doug tries to get his own back here by saying, like, look, Scump had all these tailor-made teams for him, and on occasion, Doug still took him down.
Brother, Doug literally has his challengers team playing against us. Like, I don't want to hear anything.
Hold on a second. I don't want to hear that. Your whole career, every second of your career, from start to finish, you had your whole God Squad tailor-made to whatever the f you wanted for over a decade. And I beat your ass for 150 racks a week after you said this dumb shit, when you tailor-made your same team for that $150,000 tournament, and I tucked your shit.
Ah, dude, Doug is an absolute idiot, bro.
11?
Doug is an idiot.
Why?
He's just an idiot.
Shut up, you dudes. Facts. That's my guy.
We wouldn't have won a single round if I wasn't playing top P5. Like, dude.
Yeah, we'd be 3v4 then. Like.
You tailor-picked your team for a $150,000 tournament, and I was the dead last pick in the draft. And I shit on you bad for 150 racks. Hold that.
So the World Championship is pretty much here. The scrims that all these teams have done are effectively over. We saw FaZe just yesterday said they feel like they're the favorites. They feel like they're the best team in the game. aBeZy has never felt more confident going into a champs than this one. And, well, we'll see if it actually works out for them by the time they get there. This is the schedule they wanted to share for you guys. Because it's in Vegas, it is very much a West Coast event, as for some reason all the World Championships seem to be. Which does mean it's going to start rather late in the day for European fans, because most of the events this season, they've started at, you know, 1:30 Eastern, which is 6:30 GMT or BST, British Summertime as it is at the moment. So that works out rather well for European fans. But when the West Coast events happen, it never really happens. And this is always the case. It's not exactly a new thing, but it just is what it is. So anyway, this is the schedule starting at 12 p.m. Pacific, which is local time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. at British Summertime. And these are the 4 games of day 1. So there's 4 games day 1, 4 games day 2. So it should finish at about 2 a.m. UK time, which is not ideal, but, you know, it happens. But because it's an event, there'll be delays and, you know, who knows, right? These series should be competitive. There shouldn't be too many 3-0s, but we've certainly seen that before. So 4 games Thursday. These are the 4 matches in the schedule for those matches. So Minnesota Subliners, Surge versus FaZe, Boston, Texas, and then Thieves Toronto to close out the day. Then on the Friday, there's 4 games, 2 elimination games, so we get down to 6 teams going into the Saturday, and then Saturday is the big day with 5 matches. Still starts at the same time though, so this game is scheduled to finish at 3:30 in the morning. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen that night in terms of making the video. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so basically we get down to Sunday with 2 teams there. Very early morning on Sunday is the Challengers Finals, so that's going to be pretty cool to see. That's been going alongside the World Championship for the entire time. And then at 12 p.m. Pacific, that is going to be the World Championship Grand Finals, best of 9, and you know, only 1 game on that championship Sunday with the Challengers Finals before it. So that's the schedule. That's what you've got to get ready for over the coming days. And as Sky said, last online scrim of the year, then we're heading out to Vegas later tonight. This year went by way too fast. Definitely, I wish there was another major cycle, but it is what it is. What I found most interesting though from the subliners over the last day or so was this tweet here from KiSMET. So as we see, right, the COD League tweet out the schedule, Rokkr say see you soon at subliners, and then KiSMET replies with this. You see the webcam and you see the scoreboard of the series they just played of scrims. So they've played some sort of hardpoint here, not exactly sure what map it is. Could be a map like Hotel where high kill maps are possible, but it could be alternatives as well. And anyway, this is the scoreboard. So this is pretty remarkable. KiSMET's managed to drop 50 kills on what is presumably another pro team, and we'll kind of discuss who it might be in a second. If you're playing 8s and stuff, it's more possible to get higher kill games. I remember like during the start of Black Ops 3, when they played 8s on Fringe, I think there was a game where Temp had like 74 kills, because in 8s you usually play a bit looser. Teamwork goes out the window a little bit more, you can maybe get more kills. To do this in a scrim is very rare. To drop 50 in a scrim, like 50 in 22 KiSMET's gone here. Hydra's gone 37 in 22. So they've outslayed by a lot. Skies has all the hill time, 22 and 21. Priest is sitting there 23, 28, so, you know, not really minding too much because his team was just outslayed by approximately 40 or 30, 40 kills. So, yeah, Sublaner's obviously on good form, according to this from KiSMET. Who is this against, though? Because he's saying, hey, to the Minnesota Rokkr, we are ready. I don't think they were scrimming Rokkr, because you wouldn't scrim, and teams don't do this, to people that you play in the first round. So FaZe will not be practicing against the Seattle Surge, Thieves will not be playing Toronto, OpTic will not be playing Boston, and even I think OpTic said they're not playing anyone on their side of the bracket, and they are only playing FaZe, Surge, Thieves, and Toronto from the upper side. Subliners we don't exactly know. They won't be playing against the Minnesota Rokkr. Will they play against OpTic? Seems unlikely, because they probably feel like OpTic is a very likely winners round 2 game. So it's very possible that they're playing against, as OpTic are, the top 4 teams, or the upper side of the bracket. FaZe, Surge, Thieves, Toronto. I guess it's possible this is against some sort of challengers team, but I believe that even Octane said the other day that they play on different patches or something, so it's actually not even really possible to play against challenger teams at this time of the year. So more than likely this is a screenshot against a pro team where Kiz and Hydra have combined for 87 and clearly blown the other team out of the water. I guess the most likely opponent here is Surge, just because they are the weakest team out of FaZe, Surge, Toronto, and Thieves, and those are the 4 teams that theoretically this is the most likely to be, but you never really know. So yeah, is this Subliners really, you know, doubling down on how well they did back at Major 5? They're not quite the favourites, but they're certainly up there. And you know, we mentioned the other day that crazy stat that at every single World Championship for the last 10 years, at least one of the finalists was also a finalist at the previous tournament. I would say FaZe are the most likely to keep that streak going, but Subliners most certainly could as well. We saw earlier today that Scump is very confident that you know, OpTic can take down Subliners and make that run in the tournament. But yeah, they're obviously looking good. It was their search and destroy really that won them the grand finals against FaZe. Their control is still a bit of a question mark, right? Look, control is an important mode. Fundamentally, if you're unreal at hardpoint and you're unreal at search, you'll be all right without a crazy control. But they did lose both controls in the grand finals to FaZe, and this again was a hardpoint map, right? We know they're very good at hardpoint. We know their search has been good, but you'd expect FaZe to come back a little bit at them in search and destroy come champs, and their control has been a bit weaker than average for a team right at the top. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below on that one. Did just want to quickly share here before we close out the video some of the work that Jacob L has done on the Breaking Point Fantasy to come up with what should theoretically be the best team. So looking at the entire season long, what are the average scores of these players? So this is looking at the current price of these players compared to how many fantasy points they scored across the entire season so far, looking at the average, and therefore looking at average points per dollar spent, which you know, actually the highest you can find is generally up with like Beans and Awakening, which is pretty interesting, which makes sense. They're only $5 picks. Some of the reason why this is a bit skewed though is because Boston are expected to lose round 1 to OpTic, and if they lose round 1 to OpTic, they will drop to losers and they might go out top 8, maybe top 6, which then carries a negative multiplier. The teams that get the furthest, those players get a multiplier to their performance because they placed great. So this is also taken into account and is always difficult to account for, apart from just feeling. Jake also did the analysis on which players in their price categories are the standouts. So Hydra from the $10 picks is the standout, aBeZy's the standout from the $9 picks. Down at 4, Hicksy seems to be the best choice of those, and there's no clear standout from the other categories so much, apart from Cellium maybe at $8 that I probably already mentioned. So I'm pretty happy to see that out of the possible teams here that he's come up with, my team is actually in here, right? So Hydra, Skies, Priest, Hicksy is actually in here. There's also other good alternatives such as Huke in there and Sasha in there, but yeah, some interesting analysis people have done. More than likely my team's not going to win, but these are some possible candidates. So very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.